It can be said that marketing is creating an interest in an exchange of goods and services. Sales is actually creating that exchange of goods or services. In that context, the case can be made that a salesperson's job is to, number one, uncover objections, and number two, overcome objections. So we have a module for overcoming objections in the Revenue Builder, particularly beneficial for new business development. It's a two-step process where we first look to understand objections, and we find that salespeople universally know what those objections are. They know what the 10 most common objections, or 8 or 9 in their world that they deal with on an ongoing basis are. So we have tools where they use their own language to overcome them with a three-step process we call rephrase, reassure, and resume. We don't have time to go into it at this point, but the main thing is to let you know that that is available as part of the program. To advance the sale, we now move to the 9 Essentials of Influence, which are a separate module in the Revenue Builder. These are the essentials of influence that we use to inspire people through the stages of acceptance. And you use different essentials at different stages of acceptance. The essentials are really the collateral and tools that you've developed or you might want to develop in your company to use at different stages of acceptance. And I want to take a moment to show you and refer back to our Revenue Builder map. So if we go back to the Revenue Builder map, you will notice at the bottom there are 9 essentials of influence listed out in order, beginning with social influence, through consciousness raising, and moving up to helping relationships. To understand how you use the essentials of influence, one needs to cover up on each side of the stage of acceptance. So you've blocked out only stage unaware. At that point you will see that at stage unaware there are 2 essentials of influence that we would employ. One is social influence and the second is consciousness raising. When we go to stage 2, contemplating, you'll see there are actually 4. 1 and 2, and then reevaluation, envisioning, and emotional arousal. To give you an example of what they are, social influence, for example, is things such as third-party influences that will not be seen to be self-serving, and that therefore may have more influence on someone who at that point is unaware of a need and realizing that maybe they should begin to consider that they have a problem they should look at changing and taking some action on. Consciousness raising, however, has more to do with us. Consciousness raising is more telling them about who we are and how we can help them solve that problem, and you will have developed collateral that your people can use over time in that regard. System utilization all the time, a system that people can use on an ongoing basis, is, which we talked about earlier. I want to show you an example of a Revenue Builder map. This is a real Revenue Builder map from an existing customer, and the goal is to develop your own map which shows each stage of acceptance. It shows the collateral that you have under each essential of influence, so that when your salespeople are strategizing to advance the sale, they can look at the available tools they have, look at which ones they've already employed, look at which ones they should use that they feel will be most effective and help people moving to the next stage. We inspire people to do tasks that give us an idea as to truthfully what stage they're at and how serious they are. This is where we watch their behavior instead of just what they say. When a salesperson is in a situation for qualifying and the sales manager says to him, "How are we doing on the deal with Jones Company?" He says, "Oh, hey, I've already been told we're going to get the deal." And a week goes by and they didn't get the deal. They don't get a phone call and they ultimately find out they didn't get the deal. How is a salesperson fooled? The salesperson was fooled because at the moment that his contact at Jones Company told him he was going to get the deal, the contact believed it. Therefore, he was completely believable in what he said, and that's why the salesperson believed him. The trick in that particular case is you need to stay very close to the customer and try and ensure that if anything changes, you will be contacted first and given a last right of refusal. What happened there, something changed in that world and the salesperson didn't learn about it. So what we're trying to do with our with our revenue builder map is be as thorough and complete as we can in dealing with customers at each stage of acceptance to try and move them to the next stage. We also want to be sure that we don't use the improper tools, because if you use essentials from stage 1 or 2 with someone at stage 4 action, you actually can imperil the sale. This is an extremely valuable tool. It's one that people can use to develop new collateral in your business, so that when you're developing pieces of collateral, you can specifically target them for dealing with certain situations at different stages of acceptance. The other thing that typically will happen is when we go through the exercise and salespeople realize what essentials are involved, when they in fact send out collateral to a customer, they might highlight certain parts or make sure that the customer is aware and pays attention to certain parts, because they know that will have more influence with them. An element, for example, of trying to task people to really qualify them is when you send out information to people, if you can ask them to read it or give you an opinion on a certain portion of it, when you contact them, if you, depending on what response you hear back, you'll get an indication of whether they've actually taken the action that they said they would. If they're sincerely interested in your products and services, or if, to put it another way, if they really have become a contemplator at stage 2 from unaware, then they will have taken the action. If they just say, oh yeah, I read it, but you have no indication as to whether they really did or not, you can't really tell whether they're stage 2 or still at stage 1. So that's one of the ways that we try to help the salespeople qualify where their customers really are.